Hi there, this is a short flow today to help you work on one of your favorite postures, Chaturanga Dandasana, or the 4-limb staff pose. Chat is 4, Anga is limb, Chaturanga, 4-limb Danda staff or stick staff pose Dandasana. This is a hard one. If you practice Ashtanga or Vinyasa, you practice many Chaturangas, but do you really do them properly? So we're going to work on that today. Let's start with warming up the wrist because we put a lot of weight on those wrists. Any pain in the wrist, maybe we want to wait before we do this practice and come back to it later when we feel a little stronger. Let's start to bring those fingers together and roll the wrist, rolling one way and switching side, rolling the other way. Relaxing your shoulders, keeping your center here, engaging your core. Nice. Let's check those hands, bring the arms towards the ceiling, drop the shoulders, and we'll start opening and closing the hands. And we can go as fast or as slow as we feel like. And once it starts to get a little uncomfortable, it's when we start counting. And we keep going with a nice smile on our face. We'll do 10 more. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Shake those hands. Relax your shoulders. And let's come onto our hands and knees onto your mat. The knees are hip distance apart, the hands are shoulders distance apart. I make sure I'm stacking my shoulder and my wrist. And we'll start here with gentle cat-cows just to warm up the spine a little bit, especially if you haven't been moving before that, looking at your navel. Inhale, opening the heart space, collarbone forward. Exhale, round, looking at your navel. Inhale. Exhale, option, you can switch the wrist here and we keep working on stretching the wrist here before we put too much weight. And let's come to neutral spine. Flip your wrist, your hands so your fingers are facing forward. So one foundation for Chaturanga Dandasana is the second part, the Dandasana, and we're going to focus on that before we focus on our shoulders and our strength. So let's find hands and knees position here. Really engage your core, navel to your spine. Now we're going to lengthen the right leg, not too high, not too low. Let's avoid to open the hip. We keep those both hip bones looking towards the mat. Really engage your core. We can stay here, both hands grounded. You have the option to extend the hand and gaze slightly forward, holding for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Slowly release and we do the other side. Extend the left leg parallel to the mat. Navel to the spine. Often difficult to assess for ourselves, but we do our best. Dropping the left hip, strong core, strong leg, extending the right arm, gazing slightly forward so we avoid to round the neck, neutral neck here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Slowly release. Nice. So let's keep working on the strengthening of the back body here before we get too focused on our shoulders. What comes next are a few asanas, a few postures that are great to work on the posterior chain before we get to Chaturanga. So touch your toes. Let's find downward facing dog. Here you can come forward into a plank, measure the distance the hand and the feet, and go back to downward dog. Let's take a moment. Same thing. Let's get moving a little bit. This is a very short practice, but we still need to warm up those hamstrings a little bit, bend your knees. Send your tailbone towards the ceiling, lengthen the spine here. Take a few breaths. Drop those heels towards the back. They don't have to touch the floor. Relax your neck. Maybe lengthen your legs a little bit, but keep lengthening the tailbone up towards the ceiling. Nice, let's come forward onto a plank position. Okay, strong plank here. This is the Dandasana part again. Straight legs. Lifting the kneecaps, engaging the core. We are going to lower that plank onto our forearm here. Making a nice box with the forearm. Spreading the fingers. Opening the shoulders forward. Avoid to drop the head again. Neutral neck. Gaze slightly in front of the mat. Lift the kneecaps. Heels towards the back of the room. Breathing here for 5. 3 more. 1 more. Next exhale, let's just drop the hips here. Keep your hands and your forearm connected to the mat. Roll your heart space forward, shoulders back. Lengthen the legs. Press the top of the feet into the mat. Maybe lift the kneecaps. Here we are in Sphinx pose. 5 breaths. 2 more. 'Kay, little transition here. We'll send the weight from our hips forward towards your arm navel, releasing the hands and sending the hands back. Okay, version of locust pose here, Shalambhasana. We're going to zip the legs together in the back, point the toes. Press the hip point into the mat. Those legs are lifted towards the back of the room. The hands, palm facing up, are lifting my heart space. Okay, 3 more breaths. 1, 2, and 3. Relax. Hands right next to your navel. Push yourself back. Let's take a child pose here for a few breaths. Hands can stay forward or hands back towards your feet. And we'll slowly rise, come to sit on your heels and come back onto your hands and knees. Okay, so strengthening the postural chain, the back of the body is fundamental in the Dandasana to really keep that line going in our shape. So now let's focus on the shoulders and the strength. Okay, I'll use blocks here. If you don't have blocks at home, that's okay, that's perfectly fine. Not necessarily easier, because the blocks are here to create boundary. Most often, standing in the front of the room and seeing all those chaturangas, I see my student going way too low because they don't have strength. Sorry, I'll put those back. But I wanted to show you first because they don't have necessarily strength, or they feel like they have to go all the way down to the mat. So I see those elbows coming to the side. I see shoulders coming in, and way too low most often, way too low. So we're going to walk today. There's one point I want you to take home or to remember after this video is not too low. Ideally, I want to create a 90-degree angle with my arm. The block is not ideal. It should be the length of the forearm, but that will do for today. Put the blocks wide enough so your torso can go through and your shoulders can touch the block. If you don't have block at home, you can follow and do this practice. Just don't strain too much. Just do it so you can feel the movement. Let's bring the hands right behind the block, lengthen the legs. Okay, a few drills, chaturanga drills, before we integrate them into our sun salutation. First of all, if you're struggling with chaturanga, bring your knees down. Now we walk from half plank. Chaturanga, it's not an elevator, it's not a push-up, it's more a landing. Imagine your collarbone is a little flight and you're going to land at the airport. So sliding your heart space forward, bending the elbows, and stop when you feel the block. Nice. Maybe a little high here, those blocks are for me at least, but gives you a nice boundary. Now that flight is taking off, and back to your hands and knees. Okay, let's do this 2 times. So we're not crashing, we're landing forward and down and rising up. So let's come into a plank. Inhale here, drop your knees. On the exhale, lean your heart space, bend the elbows, stop at the block. Inhale, slide up, exhale, back. Hands and knees, one last time. Plank, inhale, exhale, slow landing, knees down, heart space forward, touch the block. Inhale, rise. Exhale, let's take a nice downward facing dog here. Nice, so I'm already feeling it in my arms. We'll do a few more. This time we're going to transition for half chaturanga to full chaturanga if we have the strength, and if not, we keep our knees down. Inhale forward, drop the knees, lean forward, bend the elbows, pause here. If you have the block, use that nice support. Lift your knees, engage your core, collarbone is open, gaze forward, kneecaps are engaged, heels back. Nice, and now from there we take off. You can keep your toes tucked. Exhale, downward facing. Nice. Another full flow without dropping the knees. If you have it in you, just an option. We can always drop the knees. Inhale, in plank. Exhale, lean forward, bend the elbows, pause, no further than that. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. Nice. So let's take a break. Move your shoulders, move your hands, move your blocks away. So one point very important. There are many points we could explore, but just for today, think about low. The chaturanga is not too low. When I don't have the block, if we're not strong enough, just a little bit of bending the elbows, and then I slide up, much better than collapsing onto the mat. Okay, let's do a few rounds of sun salutation, traditional, and we'll get to practice those chaturangas, get the flow going. Let's come and just stand at the front of the mat, feet together, Tadasana. Sun salutation A, we have 1 chaturanga. We tend to flow through quickly, but just for today, we do a little pause. So we really integrate that chaturanga into our flow. Sun salutation, inhale, rise, gaze at the thumb. Exhale, fold into, bend the knees if you need. Inhale, lengthen the heart space forward. Exhale, let's all step back into a plank. Inhale in plank. Exhale, you can always drop the knees. Lean forward, bend the elbows. Pause here, little moment. Inhale, just half a sec. Exhale, downward facing down. Nice. Just 3 breaths here. 1, 2, 3. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, walk to the front of the mat and fold. Inhale, rise all the way. Exhale, Tadasana. Second round, inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, just for today we do a plank. Inhale in plank, we prepare. Exhale, lean forward, bend the elbows, maybe all the way to a nice parallel to the floor. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. 3 breaths. 1, 2, 3. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, walk towards the front of the mat. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way. Exhale, back to center. Third one like this. Inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen, prepare. Exhale, we do the plank just for this one. Chaturanga Dandasana on the exhale. I don't have to go too low. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. 3 breaths. 1, 2, 3. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, walk towards the front of the mat and fold. Inhale, rise all the way. Exhale, back to center. Okay, to make it traditional, I'm going to remove the plank and I'm going to exhale and lower down Chaturanga, just for you to know that's the way it's done traditionally. But I love the plank. Inhale, Chaturanga, if you're still working on this posture and getting fluent with it. Inhale, rise, gaze at the thumb. Exhale, fold all the way. Inhale and prepare. Exhale, I can step back and lower down in 1 breath. Chaturanga, I don't have to go too low. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. 3 breaths, maybe 5 here. Downward facing dog. 1, 2, 3. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, walk and fold. Inhale, rise all the way. Exhale, back to center. Okay, let's do once and salutation B. Chaturanga, option to drop the knees. You don't have to bend those elbows too low. Keep it slow and steady. Bending the knees, we start with a nice chair pose. Inhale. Exhale, folding. Inhale, prepare. Exhale, lower down, Chaturanga Dandasana. Step back into a plank and lower down. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. Inhale, let's bring that right foot forward. Ground the left foot. Rise, warrior 1. Exhale, hands down. Step back, Chaturanga or plank and then Chaturanga. Inhale, opening. Exhale, down. Left foot forward, planting the right foot 45. I rise, warrior 1. Exhale, hands down. Chaturanga Dandasana, little pause here. Inhale. Exhale, down. Nice. Very good. 3 breaths. 1, 2, and 3. Inhale, move forward. Exhale, we make it to the front of the mat and fold. Bending the knees, chair pose. Exhale, mountain pose, Tadasana. Nice. Let's finish with one more back strengthening flow before we close. Let's make it to downward facing dog. Inhale, rise. Exhale, fold. One more opportunity to Chaturanga. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, step back. Chaturanga Dandasana. Always on the exhale, we pause. We notice we're doing that shape. Inhale, up. Exhale, down. Nice. Okay, not to be confusing, but we're going to move forward into Chaturanga and then drop the hips. So transitioning from Chaturanga to locust. Inhale, plank. Exhale, Chaturanga. We pose. That's the shape. No further than that. Now I'm going to drop the hips. Not to collapse, but just to transition here. Okay, we've done one variation at the beginning. We'll start with the same one. Hands back, palm of the hands towards the ceiling. Rolling the shoulders, lifting the heart space. I can stay there, or like we did at the beginning, zip the legs. 5 breaths. 4, 3, 2, Let's keep the legs engaged. Bring your hands next to your navel. B variation. 1. The hands are off the ground. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Press your hand. Lift yourself up. Exhale, downward facing. Okay, one last one. Same idea. We flow to Chaturanga. We hold for a second or 2 and we lower down. Inhale. Exhale, Chaturanga. Here is the shape. And lower down. Okay. Last variation of locust. Interlace your fingers in your back. Roll your shoulders. Lift your heart space. Zip the legs. Option to stay here, or if you want to go a little further, bending the legs, grabbing the ankles. We're moving towards bow pose, Dhanurasana. Opening the heart space, squeezing the knees towards each other, lifting the legs. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Push yourself into a child pose. Relax the shoulders and the hands back. Let's take a moment here. And when you're ready, you can press in your hand, come to sit. Drop your seat onto the mat, send your legs forward, come to lie down on your mat. Let's bring your knees to your chest, give yourself a nice hug. Open your arms in a T or cactus. The knees can be parallel or you can cross one on top of the other. If you cross, the one that's on top is the one that stays on top as you twist to the side. Few breaths here, coming back to center. We're finishing here, so if you want to take more time, please do. Coming back to the center, bring your knees to your chest, give yourself a nice hug, reach up. Rolling back and forth. And come to sit. Great practice. So this is just a short video. The theme of today is Chaturanga Dandasana, and the alignment cue is really about not to go too deep with your shoulders. The use of the block just as a boundary, and you can play with the block. Again, this is not the best aid for most of us, but give yourself a boundary and learn to control your descent without going too far down before you rise, and just be a little more conscious in your next sun salutation to really think about Chaturanga as a shape and not just like, oh, I'm flowing through. Thank you very much for being here. Namaste. Thank you for following.